Well, this is a lot more nerve-wracking than I thought it would be, considering I'm sat in my house, talking to nobody at my phone. Welcome, Flosstube, to my little corner of the world. My name is Carly. I live in a small seaside town in England called Southport, and yeah, I thought I would venture into the world of Flosstube to try and keep myself accountable to my own stitching, because I phase in and out the best of times with what I stitch on, how often, and all that gubbins. Disclaimer, I have a couple of dogs. You may hear the growling of one of them, who is we'll just let that happen and we'll see how this goes. I have a little basket of WIPs here. This is my first floss tube. There is zero progress pictures, and this is kind of a WIP parade, I guess, a little bit late to the party as we are in February, well and truly now, but we will see how it goes. These are in no particular order. I have photos for some of them are on the tried and trusted Kindle thingy. So yeah, let's get started, I guess. I'll show, well, yeah, let's have a look. I think the first one I will show is, I have no start dates for any of these really. I'm just not that organised. I don't have stitch counts. I don't have anything other than pictures and stitching, so we'll see how that goes. So the first one is going to be, oops, you might have to bear with, this is new, this is all new. We'll see if this even gets published, but hey ho. The first one will be Heaven and Earth, my very first Heaven and Earth design by Mandy Manzano. This is Make a Wish, Take a Bite. She's big. As I say, she's my first Heaven and Earth. The reason I show this one is because it's just what I'm stitching on at the moment. It's 525 by 700, 90 colours. The kit, well, this is on 25 count easy grid, 2/1, which is what the Heaven and Earth, and this, because it's my first one, I just did what I was told. I'm very good at doing what I'm told. So, yeah, it said 25 count 2/1, and there was a lot of black stitching, and then I did a lot of reading because, you know, I overthink things as well, and a lot of places were saying, oh, you know, it's tricky to stitch on 2/1 on 25 count because it's bulky and kind of tapestry like, which I kind of, yeah, I'm feeling that, but I did not like the coverage of the black on the 25 count 1/1. So anyway, this is where we're up to. There's about 6,500 stitches in this. It is, I think, nearly 200,000 stitches just in black. So I am doing all of that first. This bit here I started in colour. It was charted in this brown colour, which just on the mock-up, on the picture, it's more red, but in the symbols that it chose, so this bit here, the symbols it chose for this bit, the colour was more brown, which I wasn't happy with. So I'm going to leave this. I'm not going to frog this because effort. And I've changed the symbol for this brown to a different red colour, I think in the 700s, which does on the mock-up seem to be a little bit more, bit closer to the picture than it does the brown, and I'm happy with that. So I'll stitch it up and see what it looks like, and we'll go from there. Apologies in advance for crinkling and crinkly fabric and pulling sheets of paper out of files and things like that. I'm not very practiced at this, as you can probably tell, with it being my first ever video. Yeah, so next up we have a little kit, Lizzie Kate, Dear Santa, I've been good. I like the saying, Dear Santa, I've been good all year. Okay, most of the time. Once in a while, I forget it, I'll buy my own presents, and I'm just doing this this verse here. I tend to stitch a bit in hand, a bit on a Q-snap. The big pieces I'm finding Q-snap is a godsend, and I've got a little stand which helps me to do the, you know, the loom type stitching. I tried the sewing method, it wasn't for me. My stitches were all bulky and it wasn't neat and even, so I gave up with that. So this is this one. This is stitched on a 28 count vintage country mocha linen. First time I think stitching on linen, this one. I really like the coverage, 2/1 of that, and it's using all the called for weeks dye works. I think it was the first time of branching out into fancy floss as well. I have a whole go big or go home. When I first got back into stitching, I've been stitching since I was about 10. Started it in cross stitch club in school, and then phased in and out of it over the years, doing pieces here and there. Never really read the instructions, but never really understood what it meant, you know, do all your legs one way. So I'd do all my legs and then I'd go up and stitch row by row, but then my legs would all be different. So I look at some of my old pieces and I'm like, oh god, that's just really ununiform stitching. Really annoying. Now that I kind of, it seems so simple, come to think of it now, but now that I know it's, you know, all one way and all the other, really irritates me to see my old pieces with wonky stitching. If I can edit and do all those things, I might put like a few of the things I've already done, just so you can sort of see what finishes I've had over the years. So yeah, we'll see. I'm not very good at computers. The next one I have here is Owl Forest Embroidery Atlantis. This is a kit from Owl Forest Embroidery. Hope that's focusing okay. I saw somebody stitching an Owl Forest and I was like, ooh, like look at that. Fancy flosses again, all kit gubbins that it comes on. The only thing I wasn't so keen on is there's this little kind of amoeba looking thing kind of here, which I don't really like that. I like everything else, I don't really like that weird little amoeba. So I was thinking of, there's some dolphins kind of here and some fish. I was thinking of kind of flipping, I might take a bit of charting and I'm not very good at that, but we could give it a go. Flipping and putting a dolphin here rather than this amoeba, and then I think I might like it more. And then putting some fish around it. But we'll see. So this is the very small star I have on this piece. Just the jellyfish in the middle, centre star. So I could orientate really everything because it comes pre-kitted. I always start kitted stuff in the centre because, well, margins, and I'm not very good at that. I have very poor spatial awareness at the best of times. So that's Atlantis. I've tried rotations, I've tried ad hoc stitching. I tend to find I struggle with making a decision, and then I struggle with sticking to something like a pattern. And I was watching someone's YouTube, Flosstube, around Christmas time, and they have like all their pieces in a pot. They've got loads. There's Jen, the caffeinated crafter. She's got like 300 pieces, which is way more than I have or even could deign to think of having. And she pulls like 20 at a time for the 2-week period that she's going to stitch on. So I thought, oh, that's a pretty good idea. I want to get some decent progress on this year because it's just stagnating and black, a lot of black. So the way I'm sort of thinking at the moment is I've written all my pieces down. They're all on a piece of paper in little bits, and they're kind of being pulled every other week. I'm going to do 1,000 stitches on this and then pull a new piece to do either a week or 1,000 stitches, depending on whether or not it's pattern keeper or whether or not it's like a paper pattern and I'm using Goodreads, GoodNotes, whatever it's called, to kind of stitch on. So we'll see how that goes. That is not one, that's a test piece. Next one I have is I went through I think part of the hobby is collecting patterns as well. I don't know who I heard say that, but part of the hobby I think for me is getting all the pretty patterns and then deciding I want to start all the pretty patterns and then thinking it's going to take me 11 years if I do 1,000 stitches a week or whatever to finish Make-A-Wish. So let's buy all the big patterns and, you know, stitch for the rest of my life and probably never finish any of them. But, you know, it's the process, not the finish. We'll see. The next one I've pulled out is Amy Stewart, Heaven and Earth Design, Secret Carousel Max Colours, 750 by 562. It's really pretty. The design, the detailing on the mock-up is lovely inside the carousel. But this is a whole lot of 939. It's a lot of 939. The Make-A-Wish is a lot. I've bought a cone of doom of 310 for that, and I was sort of thinking probably going to need a cone of doom for the 939 because it's probably going to be more cost effective than buying the single skeins, because who knows how many we need of those. So this is on, I think, 28 count. This is one I've been trying and testing different ways of stitching. The back's messy, sorry backs, I know. This I tried kind of, I think is it tent stitch, where you go back into to help with your tension, and then I kind of flicked to, you know, just normal half cross with the up and down rows. I started doing it block by block just because there's so much 939, and then I heard, I think it was what's her name, Alma's Little Wonders, she's talked about feathering, which I'd never heard about before because this is my first delve into full coverage and big pieces. I started to try and do that with the half stitch, and then I got burnt out with the 939 and starting it and knowing how much I needed, and I had this tiny little bobbin of it which is not going to get me very far, and then figured dye lot issues, I'll probably need a cone, let's just stop with that one. So in my little bag of stitchy paper slips, if this comes out I'll just put it back or put it aside until I have a cone of the 939 to go with. So it goes in a very small bag. I'm sorry for the crinkling. Next up we have, what do we have? That's a very good question. Ooh, yeah, we have, this is kind of half a mini finish, half a waiting for the other half, you'll see what I mean. So this first half of it is called, it's called just Sephiroth, cross stitch pattern designed by Sarah Bauman. I got it off Etsy. Me and the other half are, we have inner nerd, well him more than me, well yeah, he's a big nerd, I have a closet nerd. This is from a game called Final Fantasy VII. This is Sephiroth, the main bad guy in it. He was a really quick, he was only 1500 stitches, and it's in that old, I think it's 32-bit style, which is what the original game he loved and I loved watching him play it, was grafting. The graphics were in. So the other side is going to be a cloud, which is the goodie from said games, which will look like, what will it look like when it's finished? The thing with Pattern Keeper is you press it to get the mock-up, and sometimes you end up going into the chart more than you care to. So that will look like this when it is done. Glare, sorry. Again, very pixelated on the screen, but that's kind of the point. He loves it. I think I'm gonna kind of just crop it and then just have it in a little frame. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, pretty quick stitch. I might put this in the car, you know, if I'm at appointments or waiting or whatever, just as something, because it doesn't use many colours. I think there's only like maybe 12 in the cloud one, so we'll see. The next one I have is another smaller stitch. This is on, I got this off Etsy. It's called Dragon in Lilies, designed by Salamandra Stitch, and the mock-up when it is finished will look like this. There is a lot of back stitching in there. It's which really does make the piece almost little wonders. It's the first time I saw this, and oh, I loved the back stitch. This is Haku from Spirited Away, Studio Ghibli film. It's one of my favourite Studio Ghibli films. I used to watch it every day when I was in uni. This is just on a piece of random Ada that I got from like a job lot sale, and then I playing around with dyeing it, whacked it in some, we don't have a RIT dye over here in the UK, whacked it in some powdered Dylon, just to, you know, try to get that kind of watery effect. I'm not very good at dyeing it, I need more practice. So that is my start with that. About 1,000 or so stitches in there, and a little matching needle minder. I'm a bit of a sucker for needle minders as well. I went through a phase after my little boy was born in the pandemic. He was a pandemic baby, of bought a load of pins and snipped the edges and filed them down and stuck needle magnets on the back of them, because, you know, I just love a good needle minder. And I've got more needle minders and projects, which makes me think, well, maybe I need more projects so that I can put needle minders on all the fabrics. So that's what I'm going with. That's the story I'm sticking with. The next piece is another Helena design. This is called, what is this called? Morning Owl. Artwork by Anya Kai. 400 by 486. That's what it will look like when it is done. I really hope these are focusing. I can't really see because I'm facing away. So that is all background. I was watching Sarah the Stitching Mummy, and she talked about getting rid of the background. I think it was tea and books she was stitching. She was like, I don't want to stitch all that background. So she got a fabric that looked like the background, so she didn't have to. And I was thinking, I do not want to stitch block blue. That just seems unbearable. And I got a fabric that I thought that would look cute on there. You know, the owl just sort of sitting there inside a fabric. And when I eliminated most of the blue on Pattern Keeper, it was 72% of the pattern was done with taking out the majority of the blue. So this is on a 32 count Lakeside linen, which is a provider. We don't have much in the UK. Where I live, there's not, I don't think there's any sort of needle point, like L&S's local needle point store. Closest to me really is, we've just got a new Hobbycraft, which is about 10 minutes, but the stock for cross stitch is not very good. Better for yarn. I like to do a bit of crochet as well, but we don't have a lot. It's all online mainly. So this is on a 32 count even weave by Lakeside Linens called Sea Spray. I started at the bottom. It's like, I'm not sure if you can tell. Oh no, that's not so bad. It's kind of mottled blue-green. So I thought I'd start at the bottom, just so that I'm kind of got enough. The way he's sitting, there's sort of white, like a white hill of stitches there. I was going to work my way up, so I knew I definitely had enough at the top. So I'm kind of picking colours along the bottom here to kind of fill from the bottom up. Yeah. I never really know how to stitch. I get kind of distracted about where shall I go next, what colour do I pick. I'm a bit of a completionist. I like to do all the colour and then know that that's done, and I do like a nice little zero on Pattern Keeper. But also I'm a bit like, I get bored doing the same colours, so I like to switch around a bit. And then I was watching a Sarah the Stitching Mummy's video, and she coined this term, the typewriter method, where she picks a 10 by 10 square, well, she goes top to bottom, left to right, 10 by 10 square, and she fills in all the colours, sort of the first symbol, and then fills them across, and then kind of fills the piece, she starts top left, by that 10 by 10 block square, which for the full coverage I really liked that, because I thought actually that's eliminates the choosing. You kind of are seeing bits being completed. I don't like to do I tried parking, it was too chaotic for me. All the strings, it just gave me messy brain vibes. So I like to pick a thread length, and then I'll stitch sort of cross country, which is also very scary because I have as poor spatial awareness skills as I have poor counting skills, so I double, triple, quadruple check when I do that. But that being said, so yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing with this. I thought I'd work sort of top up and then 10 by 10 sort of squares, or colour if it's big blocks, so that I'm not missing, you know, vital stitches. And that's the other thing, if anybody even watches this, which would be lovely, give me a hi if you do, if anyone can give me any tips on what to do if, and inevitably when, the dreaded frog arrives on a small piece of fabric like this when you're doing 1/1, how to successfully rip that out, I will be more than grateful, because that is a big fear. Oh, this is a little needle minder on there, little cactus. Oops. Sorry, sips. Drink, I'm thirsty. Oh, iron. There you go, dog one. What's next? What is next? Huh. Ugh. Oh, okay, so this was a gift from my husband many years ago. I think probably 2017, maybe. I don't have a picture of it. It's a Dimensions kit, Dimensions Gold, and it was my first dalliance with Dimensions. Still, whilst I had no idea how to stitch well, like so that your stitches were nice and uniform on a paper pattern, This is my nemesis. I do not want to UFO it because it is a labour of love. This is called Beguiling Tiger. I think I've seen it around and about on the Floss Tubes. So this is where I am up to. I haven't touched this one in, oh gosh, it was when I was working on the wards. So probably in about 3 years. Oh, that's a long time. And I used to take it to work, and when I was on nights, and I would do this whilst I was on nights, and that might have been my first problem, doing this on nights, because it is a paper pattern. I just learned about Pattern Keeper in 2020, when I sort of really got back into stitching. I imagine when we all did, because I was home from work, being pregnant in the pandemic, so I had nothing to do other than cook a baby. So I got back into stitching. So I'd learnt about Pattern Keeper, which changed my life, and this is on a paper copy, and all of the threads come, well, the Floss Tubes are, you know, well versed in dimensions kits. They come like this, and this is how I'd stored them so that they wouldn't get all rickety-rackety in here. But I ended up doing the legs all different ways and the half stitches all different ways, and then I think it's a 16 count Ada, what it came with in the kit, and it's so bulky, and I'm not ripping all, like this is, I don't know if you can see really, this is all when I didn't know how to uniform stitch. This is kind of really nicely, and I was doing the 10 by 10, you know, work across, then got to the edge of the pattern, and then came down here and then did the half stitches the opposite way from this, because the half stitch, and then I was like, well, maybe I can do the bottom bit in the same way as this to give it depth, because there's already depth and texture because of my shocking stitching here. And it's not even a big piece, it's just dense. It's very dense stitching. This is very dense stitching. It's really hard. I mean, I thought the 25 count 2/1 was hard to work with. This, I don't know, it's tight, it's dense, it's choppy and changey. I might put, I'm using this toddler counting board, which he doesn't even use anymore, as a here's my piece kind of holder upper. Yeah, I'll take a picture of the pattern and pop it into Goodreads and see if that actually helped. Doing a buttons and beads kit, and I took a picture of it, and it's actually a lot easier to stitch with, even though it doesn't find the symbols. You could at least blow up the area and then know where you're stitching without sort of getting lost and putting your pen down and having to, you know, scribble on it. And in the spirit of Spirited Away, and this being my oldest, definitely know this is my oldest piece, and thinking I need to finish this. This is a little soot sprite from the Studio Ghibli series. It says, "Finish what you started, human." I don't want to finish that, but I don't want to UFO it because it's a lot of work. I'm one of these where if I put work into it, I always feel obliged to finish it, and I want to complete it. I don't like it hanging over me and being outstanding. It gives me the ick. What is this? Okay, so I have to move my bins around and have a drink. If you've made it this far, thank you very much for bearing with. Much appreciated. I am chaotic and scatty at the best of times. Okay, the next one, is called Love Is by Bothy Friends. I got a few of these, I got 3. I really liked, they were really cute little pieces. But I didn't actually realise how dense. I think I'm delusional sometimes because I think, oh yeah, that's only, you know, 26 centimetres by 26 centimetres. That's not going to take long. It's on 14 count. And then it's like, well, these are all 100, you know, stitches, and there's all the stitching. Anyway, so this again comes on a little strip pack, and I just don't like that. I find it very messy, so I ended up bobbinating them all so that I can have kind of easy access to them. So this is where I'm up to. I'm actually doing this for like as a little homage to me and my little boy. I did a giraffe one for him and the husband because my husband's very tall, so I figured, you know, giraffes and tall, and my little boy's probably going to be tall. He's going to be 12. I'm going to be asking him to, you know, just come down here so I can tell you off. I thought, you know, this is pretty cute, little orangutan. There we go, that's where we're up to. For Mummy and me, when these are finished, I'd like to put them in his room, you know, whilst he's small and doesn't care that things are cute and isn't embarrassed by it. So yeah, it's this one's quite an easy stitch. It's quite blocky in terms of the colouring. There's a lot of the this orange colour here is kind of this lighter colour. It's kind of filtered through all of it, so it's easy to place it around. It's kind of more block stitching when you get to the other bits. Sorry, my camera down here, putting things away. I try not to zip, but I do need to keep everything together. What's next? This is next. What's in here? Oh, this one's not started. This will be Buttons and Beads Latte. It's all kitted, and I've already stitched this once for my mum, and I hated it. Oh, I hated every bit of it because it's the first time I ever worked on perforated paper, which I've never done before, and I like to wash all my pieces and afterwards, and I was really mindful that because it's paper and I get really hot hands and I don't like to get sweaty and I'm going to be touching the paper, so I'd, you know, it's going to sound ridiculous, I'd wear a glove to hold it with, and then the pattern, I lost this pattern. This pattern likes to escape from me. I like a working copy, so I take a photocopy and then I can scribble on them just in case somebody else might want to use this, and I can sort of pass it on. And I lost the pattern, so I had to buy a new one. And then I found Goodreads, which when I come to my next Buttons and Beads actually made a whole lot of difference because it's made it really easy to stitch. And another little tip that somebody suggested, which, oh, where's that gone actually? Oh, it's here. Somebody, who was it? Memphis Sarah E, maybe? She's doing a Buttons and Beads kit, and oh, of course I've put it away because I stitched on this. Yeah, so she suggested using stretcher bars, which I'd never seen before. They're just little wooden, it's like a tiny little wooden, well, you probably all know what a stretcher bar is. If you don't, it's a tiny little wooden frame, 6x6, which is perfect size for the perforated paper. And it was really then easy to, I just thumbtacked the perforated paper onto the stretcher bars, and then I actually attached it into my little, I don't know what sort of frame it is. It's a metal one with like an arm and like a, got it off Facebook by Sound Swap. But it's, yeah, it was really easy. I didn't then, you know, I wasn't messing up the perforated paper with my sticky fingers, and it meant I could hold it. I wasn't catching the corners of the paper, of the perforated paper as much, and yeah, it's just really made stitching life a lot easier. And also, I don't know if people have stitched on the Buttons and Beads before, but they just come in a pack like this, and it has, you know, all the thread just bundled up, and all the beads in like bags, separated, but like 3 lots of beads in one bag. So future me would have been really upset if I came to stitch on it and it wasn't prepped. So past me put them on all little bobbins, and then spent a little cheeky morning whilst my spawn was, you know, happily watching trains on the telly for a little bit, putting all the beads into separate little baggies so that I didn't have to then get all the beads out, and because that was just absolutely tragic on the Latte kit. That's what I didn't like stitching on it. That's one of the reasons I didn't like stitching on it, because getting the, you know, getting all the threads out, it would be tangly and a mess, and I just didn't like that. So this is, anyway, this is what it will look like when it's finished. Yep. I think I saw Sarah, the Stitching Mummy, she did these for the first time, where I've never seen these before. And I was like, ooh, I like that. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I like it. I don't know what I'm going to do with half of these pieces, to be honest. But, you know, again, collecting and is part of the hobby too. So this is where we are at. I actually pulled this one out and stitched on this last week. It did just have this bit here done, but I managed to get kind of all of this done over the week, which was quite nice. It's quite an easy stitch once you get into it, because it's quite blocky, and it's quite easy to see like where the patterns are, and then all the spaces are just for where the beads are. So I actually quite like beading. I enjoyed it. It was a new adventure and it was kind of cool. A little succulent, I think that is. Yeah, a little succulent needle minder. So yeah. It's back. I like to keep it in. I actually don't know whether or not to keep the magnets on the pieces. I think I was watching somebody who'd left a needle in the fabric, and it had rusted the fabric. And also you actually risk losing your needles. Probably not safe either, but yeah, sometimes I think, ooh, maybe I should take that off. And then I forget. And then I think, I don't know where all my needles are. And then they're always on there. Next we have another Dimensions kit. This I bought back when I was kind of, I think after the other half bought me the Beguiling Tiger. I was like, oh yeah, cross stitch. And I bought this again with that kind of, yeah, I'll be able to finish that in a weekend vibe. This is called, what's this called? Santa's Midnight Ride. It's a 14 count, 2/1, full, this is a full coverage piece, and I got a pitiful start on this. Partly, well, I started it and then I couldn't remember which way was up. Then I figured out which way was up, so I put an arrow for future me when I came to it, so that I knew which way was up. And this is it. This is the start. I think it's about 14 stitches. No, it's a bit more than that. 20 maybe stitches. I think it's part of his beard. This pattern came in 4 pieces as well, like literally 4 quadrants, like the kit fabric was folded. And again, it was just, they're so overwhelming, the dimensions, paper patterns, because there's so many symbols and changes and swaps in half stitches, and it's a bit of a, they're a big commitment, and it's a lot. Like this is how the kit stuff came. I mean, what are you supposed to do with that? What are you supposed to do with that? It gives me anxiety looking at that. Anxiety. But I really like the piece because I love Christmas. And you know, we're not even going to talk about Krynic. I tried that once and nearly lost my mind. Anyway, next we have, what do we have here? Oh yeah, this is, I kind of use this as a bit of a travel car kit. This is Happy Snowman by Doreen Jones. I have a cover picture somewhere, maybe from here, I think I do. It is Pattern Keeper compatible, but I printed, it was before I knew it was Pattern Keeper, compatible. So I printed off the paper copies, and it's not in there. Oh, here it is. Haha. PDF. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you for waiting and then promptly getting rid of it. Oh no. Technology. Hold please. I was trying to, there we go. Gentle. Don't scare the technology. This is what it will look like when it's done. I think that's okay, showing up for you okay. Ground number 2. Ah, it's not too bad actually, we're only on 2. That's not so bad. Yes, this is what it looked like when it's done. I just really like Christmas. I don't know when I started this. It was a while ago. I think I might have got this for my birthday last year actually, or maybe even the year before. So I might have started it around, my birthday's in January. For all my January babies out there, where you've got 11 months to figure out what you want, and then Christmas happens, then you've got like a month to figure out what you want after Christmas. It's just tragic. So here is where we are. I'm doing this on, I think it's a, looks maybe like a 16 count, maybe an 18 count, opalescent, random mystery piece of fabric, just on white. Figured that would be nice and snowy for Christmas. Back stitching as I go, because backstitch is the devil that makes the pieces look so nice, and I just get to the point where I will avoid, because it's backstitch. I also avoid, I don't know who I heard say it, it was you know, in the WIP parade marathons that we tend to do around this time of year, someone was saying they get close to a finish and then they kind of put the piece down, and I'm exactly the same. I don't know what it is about it, but when I get closer, I count these as like mini finishes, because they're, you know, a decent amount of stitching, that I get to over the back stitching, or I get to doing the half crosses in here, and I'm like, nope, I can't bring myself to do it. I don't know what it is, but I really I think it's so cute, and it's in a sort of a scroll format. I thought I was gonna kind of do them going down, and then maybe put something Christmassy at the bottom. I'm hoping to finish that by December next year, or this year, and just have that sort of hanging up. The little can't adult today. You don't mind can't adult any day. Life. No one tells you when you're a kid it's what it's like to be a grown up. Well, they try, but they don't listen. But what can you do? Anyway, what have we got here? Oh yeah, superhero gnomes. This was around the same time as getting the Snowman. This is also an Etsy pattern. This was also a gift off of my husband, and I have these sort of random little bits of even weave. I think they're even weave. They're a bit crinkly, but even weave from a job lot that I got. This is what it will look like, but I'm not doing it all like that. I'm doing one at a time. At the moment I'm working on Bat Gnome here. And this is my start. Sorry, it's a roly-poly fabric, because this is a little one. I tend to stitch little ones in hand. So yeah, it, I think, is 28 count, because the black coverage 2/2 is not sparse, but it is. I really like thick coverage. I don't like seeing white, because the pink is fine for his little nose. That's absolutely fine, but the black, just, you can see the gaps in the fabric. Well, I can when it's up close. I always think that when I see people show their pieces on Floss Tubes, I'm like, oh wow, that looks really good. The coverage looks great and looks really full. But I guess that's that kind of eye thing. When it's far away, your eyes just take it all in. But who knows, with a little angry succulent needle minder, because, you know, Batman. So yeah, that's that one. There's a few of these pieces. I don't even know what I'm going to do with that. It's quite an easy stitch. It's kind of blocky. Ooh, scissors. Sorry, zips. Oh, we're not too far. I thought more than that. Oh yeah, I've got a couple more. The next one is another Bothy threads piece. This is kind of like the third piece I put together. So this is kind of for us as a little family. You know, mummy, daddy, baby lying. It's called Family Pride. This is on 14 count, kit everything. This is a really dense stitch. in terms of the colour changes. It's quite, I didn't appreciate Bothy threads are quite, they're not confetti heavy in the same way that some of the pieces are, but they're quite textured maybe. So I don't know, I started doing top down, left to right, filling it in as I went with this one, and then kind of got, well, you'll see, got into the middle and I got a bit chaotic with it. Plus it's still on this, and I don't like this, so I'm gonna bobbinate all these. I think my little one might have pulled all the well, half of the threads off anyway, so I'm hoping that I've put them all in right. If not, it's an individualised piece, no one's going to know apart from me, and I don't even know because I don't even know if it's wrong or not. I might put them back right. This is where we are. I tend to leave threads if I need to finish them, just so I know where I am. I've clearly done that twice on this one. So this is where we're at. And you sort of see down here, I lost the will to figure out where I was going on the paper pattern and on the piece, and thought, no, I can't do that anymore. And then the black, again, I tend to outline the black for the eyes and things because I don't really like the coverage of 2 of 1 and 14 count. I don't mind it on like 16 or 18. And the other colours are fine, the lighter colours are fine, just the dark colours, I don't know what it is. The threads just aren't as thick. A little cat in a cup of tea needle minder. Some of the needle minders I made they're alright, and some of them aren't as sticky. Magnetic, sticky. As others. I think it's got something to do with the material the pin was made with, maybe. Who knows? A couple more. What are you? Oh, this might be sea turtle. Is this sea turtle? Or is this just a random piece of fabric? Yes, it is. So this is, oh no! Oh, I'll show you one here. I've buried my book with all my pictures, cover photos, in under all the pockets of stitching that I've got. So this is Sea Turtle, Spirit of Serenity. It's a Heaven and Earth design. This is Max Colours, and the artwork is by Carol. Who's it by? Carol Cavallaris. 450 by 450, and I think I might be doing this on a 32 count 1/1. By the looks of things, easy count fabric. Pretty small start, to be honest. I started this when I was on nights as well, because I used to stay up when I was on nights to sort of prep into nights. I'd stay up until the wee hours, and then you don't need to know about my night pattern. But anyway, I used to stay up, and this was sort of one of the pieces that I really enjoyed stitching on whilst I was doing that. But I've not touched that in 2 years, because I've not done nights in nearly 2 years. So, which is a shame, because it's really, I really like that. And that's the thing, I'm sure, well, we're all the same, aren't we? We fade in and out of a stitchy bug, and I get these big huzzahs, and I'll stitch for weeks and then finish a load of things, or not finish, or start a load of things, and then get to the point where I'm like, I don't want to stitch on. Which is why I thought maybe if I do this, kind of pick it as we go, give myself a limit of what I can stitch on, and then put it down. It's like the honeybee one, the buttons and beads. I actually kind of wanted to carry on because I was like, ooh, I could, get onto a finish here. But I know that that's unhelpful thinking, because that leads me down the path of burnout, because I'm like, oh, I'm bored of stitching on this now, and then I'll put it down and I won't pick it back up for however, well, 2 years, like some of the pieces. So I thought, well, I'll give myself a bit of a limit, and then that way, there's no sense of obligation, and I get to enjoy some stitching, I get some progress on some stuff, and I'd like to touch everything. I have all these really pretty, patterns and you know, I bought them for a reason, I'd like to stitch on them, and I have no, you know, no progress on them, which is probably what we can all say. I've just been watching, what's her name, Alara, and she's kind of picked out, oh, this one's going to get 300 stitches. Maybe I'll do that if I get burnt out with you know, a week or 1,000, but we'll see. This is just a couple of finishes I had over the last sort of, this is really simple. This is my car stitch. This is just called Supernatural. I think it's like the pop head things. If you like Supernatural, you know, Carry On My Wayward Son. Which is really cute. Really easy to stitch. Really blocky colours. Did the outline, filled it in. Well, it uses about 10 of the colours, which is pretty cute. I just added the words. And this one, this is a Lizzie Kate piece. Again, really small. It's just been sitting languishing in my finish bit. So the suns, oops. Suns are a special joy. In fact, this might have been my first venture onto linen. I think what I did was I bought a big, because I'd never really heard of linen and all this fancy floss and fancy, you know, fabric to work on. And as I was, you know, delving back into the world of stitching, I sort of looked at a few YouTubers, Theresa Little Stitcher and Sarah. They were my friends during my lonely days cooking a baby during the pandemic, and they kept sort of talking about vintage country mocha and Jobelin fabric, and I said, ooh, what is this new thing, and fancy flosses. I watched Michelle Bendy Stitcher as well. She had a lot of fancy flosses and things, and that's when I first realised, well, you don't have to stitch the things on the things that it comes with. You can actually have a bit of freedom and flexibility, which is kind of scary to someone who overthinks everything and gets anxious about life. But, you know, it's also, yeah, it's a nice little concept, that. And that's where I first heard about, like, omitting backgrounds and X, Y, and Z. So ventured into the world, and I think this was the first one because I thought it's nice and small. If I don't like it, it's not like a big waste. It's going to take me forever. And, you know, it stitched up really nicely. I remember stitching on this in the opticians when I was waiting for an eye test a few years ago. Gosh, a few years ago. Ugh. Oof, gross. And then this was like the first piece, the Bothy threads piece. It's called First Kiss. It has been washed, so that's why it's really crinkly. It's been folded and sort of kept in this little bag here. Oh no, fix that. Oh well, I'll sort that later. This is it's called First Kiss, and this was the one I did kind of in honour of my husband and my little boy, because my husband is a literal, well, he's a height of a moose. He's 6'5", so and a half. So not quite as tall as a giraffe, but there weren't any moose cross stitches anywhere. So, and then I just thought this was really cute. So what I'm going to do is probably going to frame this with the Family Pride and the Love Is orangutan one, and pop them up in a little frame in his room. And yeah, I think that's it. I think it seems like I've got more projects than I do because I have so many that I want to start. I have a few quick, you know, like little pieces. Might do that. Should we do that? Should we do that? First video, if this even goes up. If not, at least I've got it. Do you know what? Screw it. I will upload it. Ooh. Yeah, let's do it. There's a few like sort of small bits that I would want to start. So it's like, I don't know if you can see here very well, like this Galaxy Sora. I really like that. I bought that recently. I want to start that. These were dead cute, just dead quick little bottles. These were off Etsy. Oh, I didn't tell you where all those bits and bobs were, did I? Oh no. yeah, any questions about those, I'm pretty sure I told you everywhere where everything was. Yeah, these little bottles are off Etsy. I think they're Soda Stitch ones, and I thought they were so sort of small and quick and cute. And I've got some fabric, sparkly fabric like the stars, to put on there. This one, I'm just going to pick out a few pineapples to stitch for me, my mum and my sister. I'm going to stitch that one separately, you know, when I've got time to do all these stitching. I've got this temperature cell. I really want to do this from the Witchy Stitcher. I saw Jen the Caffeinated Crafter and Alara do it, and I really wanted to do a temperature cell, and I've not found one that I really like. Like, I like a few of them, but this one I just really liked all the little, you know, gubbinses that are in there, like there's a little pumpkin and Halloween and little candy canes for Christmas. And I thought, yeah, if I'm going to do a temperature cell, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do that one. And then Michelle, the Bendy Stitcher, she got some Cosmo floss, and she outlined she did a book one last year, I think it was. She outlined all the books when it rained in this blue Cosmo floss. I thought, I might do that, because this is an outline, it's not backstitched, and I quite like the definition backstitch gives, even though, you know, backstitching is hard work at the best of times. And then I realised I live in England, and I live on the coast, and the coast rains a lot where I live in Southport. I think it's rained every day now, 2 weeks, bar maybe 2. So there's going to be a lot of blue backstitching. And then I thought, because we don't get frost or snow very often, if we do, I'm going to outline that in white, and then you know, backstitch the rest of it in, I think, maybe the darkest colour, or just like a complementary colour. So I just need to start that. I have the fabric for it that came last week. It's just from Lakeside Linens. I think it's an 18 count vintage grey, maybe, I think it's called. It's slightly mottled. Oops. Yeah, it's fairly decent. Slightly mottled fabric, but it's just kind of getting started, which is the thing with everything. Then I wanted to do this one. These are all prepped. They've got fabric, they've got plans, they just don't have a stitcher to do it on. Advent calendar. I like stitching Christmas. So that was a birthday present. And then these are all these are the ones I want to start. This is the Year in the Woods. I didn't like all of these. Some of them creeped me out a little bit. The way they looked, like the owl one. I really liked the owl, but the neck was just too long for me. It reminded me of a creepy creeper thing. So I just picked the ones I kind of really liked. So we've got the reindeer, the ducks. We've all seen these. We all love these. Which is why we all have these. Swans. The jackrabbit. The bear, and the raccoon. So I was going to get some fabric and then put them sort of all 6 maybe on there, or put 3. I'm not sure. I've not figured out what I want to do with these yet. I've got some of the flosses for them. I just need the fabric, which that Mirage fabric has been out of stock for forever. And now I've seen the Cottage Garden Jordan, the tattooed stitcher, has enabled me to buy the house series, because I've never stitched a house in my stitching life, and now all of a sudden all I want to do is stitch houses. So never stitched a sampler, never stitched a house, and Atlantis has got houses on it, and now I want to stitch the year in the houses, and the prehistoric fabric is not in stock for that, so you know. This is another one by Puntini. Yeah, Our Love Is Sweet. That's a nice little quick stitch. And then I bought this a long time ago, and it's too intimidating to start. One, because it's paper, fully paper, but chatelaine. I think I first saw Teresa Little Stitcher do a chatelaine. She did Midnight Garden maybe or something, and I just Japanese moss garden mandala, and it was going on Facebook, and I just I love this, but just even looking at the floss, like the descriptor list of what you need, intimidated me, and then reading the instructions intimidated me, and I just don't know where to start. So in true Carly fashion, I'm avoiding that like the plague, because that's what we do in life, avoid, and it just sits there and bugs us until we do it. So yeah. And then this is a new venture for me as well, fancy ladies. I've never had a fancy lady before, and I've seen a lot of people stitch them, obviously on the Floss Tubes. We all love a fancy lady. So I saw Jordan, a tattooed stitcher, stitch Tatiana, Queen of the Fairies, and Kalara stitching her as well. I loved the fabric that Jordan, the tattooed stitcher, is stitching hers on, but I cannot find it, and she's doing it on a 40 count as well. I ventured into 40 count once. That wasn't so bad, but I just don't know how to make that work, and I haven't got a fabric that I like. But somebody was selling this on Facebook, and I thought, yep, I like it. I like the wings. I'm gonna buy it. And then Winter Queen, really like this one as well. But it just came with the printed pattern, so we'll see. We'll venture into fancy ladies. There's a few Bella Filipina ones I like. There's the Daughter of the Stars or something, which is really pretty on a Cosmos fabric. But I'm going to need about 600 years to stitch all the things I want to stitch and start all the things I want to start, which is why I like to intersperse with some small pieces that are achievable to finish, because I also sort of get to the point where I'm like, oh, that's just too much. I'm never going to finish it, so what's the point? And then I put it down. So yeah, little insight into me there. So yeah, I think that's everything really. I'm just looking, there's a few here that I've finished. There's not any that I'm planning on, any big ones I'm planning on starting anytime. Oh, this is the other one I wanted to start actually. This is by I'm gonna butcher this, I'm very sorry. Minashan Yana, and it's Hogwarts Express in a little snow globe. I am a Harry Potter fan. Books were my childhood, and my son loves trains and cars, so he will probably love this just by virtue of it having a train and a car, and he'll probably want to keep this until he gets bored of trains and cars, in which case I could probably have it back. So yeah, and I was also planning on restitching this. I stitched one for my friend. She's a Gryffindor in the sort of, I changed. This originally came as sort of a pink, the flowers came like a pink tone, but I changed it more to a red tone, and I want to restitch it in a yellow tone because I have always sorted into Hufflepuff. My husband is a Slytherin. Wow. So yeah, I want to restitch that. The fabric I did my friends on was a 40 count fabric that it's just, again, it's the coverage with the black. Maybe I'll do 3 over 1 and see, because the rest of it was fine. It's just the black was just, I just don't like the coverage on that, but we'll see. So yeah, I also really want to start this one, but again, that background is just too intense. I don't think I've got the capacity for that background, so I spent time cropping it all out, like filling it all in, and then just having the owl and the leaves and this sort of leaf here, these leaves here in the corner to just give it that definition, and then maybe trying to find some sort of yellowy or orangey fabric that would go nice with this. 1, 2, 3 stitches, my friend, because it seems to have a very good, what's the word I'm looking for, selection of fabrics and things like that. So yeah, we'll see. And anyway, I think that's me. Oh no, one more. Then I want to start, not that I've started. This one's kitted. I was just kind of doing a, what's it called, a floss toss maybe on this. It's called, what's it called? It's Country Cottage Needleworks Vintage Christmas. Happy holidays. It's just the pinks and the blues. It doesn't really scream Christmas to me. Screams more baby sampler. So I've picked a few of the colours out, like the pink's still in there. And this kind of blue colour. Island Breeze is kind of green colour. But I'm toying with the idea of kind of changing the stockings to, you know, red, and then adding some Krynican gold, sort of changing the pink bows to maybe sort of gold bows, and then the pink and blue to like green and or red and something else. Well, I've not got that far yet. We'll see. See, look, houses. Never stitched houses, but I really like the houses on that. And there's about a bazillion and one patterns that I see that I want to stitch because I watch WIP parades and feel enabled. So anyway, yeah, that is me. That is my lot, my job lot of stitching. I hope you liked what you saw. Say hi. It'd be nice to have some stitchy friends. I don't have any stitchy friends really. All my friends do not cross stitch or craft. So, and my husband doesn't either. He warhammers. So yeah, that's me. Thank you very much for sticking with me if you stuck with me this long, and enjoy the rest of your day. It was a pleasure, and maybe see you again soon. Bye.